Hi guys, in today's video I'm going to be listing my top favourite films. Now originally I wanted to list my top 10 favourite films, but I found it really hard to get the list down to 10. So then it turned into a top 12 favourite films, but there were still a few films I really wanted to mention. So it's now a top 15 favourites movies list. So at number 15 I have Titanic.
Is there anyone there?
Yes, what you see?
Iceberg, right ahead!
Thank you.
Titanic is about a woman called Rose who is being forced to marry this wealthy man, but she ends up meeting this other man called Jack who isn't rich at all, and they end up meeting on board the unsinkable Titanic, but the ship ends up hitting an iceberg, endangering everybody's life on board the ship. And it says here on front of the DVD that the film is the winner of 11 Academy Awards. I remember being affected so much after watching this film. I was sad for days afterwards, and even now when I watch it, I still really wish for a different ending, even though I know it's not going to happen, and I still become very sad after watching it. I'm also always on the edge of my seat every time I see it as well. I am a big fan of Leonardo DiCaprio, and as always he acts really well in Titanic. I also like Kate Winslet, who is the actress who plays Rose. The film is over 3 hours long, but I have no trouble sitting through it. I never feel bored watching the film, no matter how many times I've seen it. I'm also very interested in the history of the Titanic, so it's another reason why I really enjoy this film. At number 14 I have Star Wars.
The Jedi Knights were the guardians of peace and justice in the Old Republic, before the dark times.
Now already I'm cheating with this list because I know there's a lot of Star Wars films, and I have chosen a favourite out of the Star Wars films. Well, yeah, I think so. I find it really hard to choose a favourite Star Wars film, and so I've just included the Star Wars films in my list. But I will say my favourite of the Star Wars films is probably number 4, A New Hope, but I also like number 5, The Empire Strikes Back, and I also really like The Last Jedi as well, so as you can see I'm already struggling. I have only recently become a fan of Star Wars, just last year. I did watch the films years ago when I was younger and I just didn't take to them. In fact, I think I gave them a couple of goes because they just seemed the films which I should enjoy. But as I said, it was only last year that I really got into them. I really like all the different worlds and the characters, my favourite being Luke Skywalker. I've also seen a lot of the different Star Wars series and I enjoy loads of them. One of my favourites is Solo, and I'm also currently watching the Mandalorian series, which I'm also really enjoying at the moment. At number 13 I've got Brokeback Mountain, and it says on the front of the DVD here that it is the winner of 4 BAFTA awards and 3 Academy Awards.
You are too much for me, Ed. You son of a horse and bitch. I wish I knew how to quit you.
The film is about 2 men who start a sexual and emotional relationship together, but their relationship becomes complicated when they both marry their girlfriends. The film is set from the 1960s to the early 1980s, and they keep their sexuality secret, knowing the dangers and complications they will face if they were to come out. When I saw this film, it was another one which made me sad for days. I was really upset after seeing this. Another one of my favourite actors stars in the film, Jake Gyllenhaal, who is one of the main actors. In fact, I think this was the film that really got me into him. He's a really good actor. And Heath Ledger, who is the other main character in the film. I definitely recommend this film if you haven't seen it. It's a very emotional watch. At number 12 I've got Dog Day Afternoon.
Now, you gotta understand something. If we leave the country, there's no coming back here.
This is about 2 men who rob a bank, but things don't go as planned and they end up holding a load of people hostage. This was the film that got me into Al Pacino, another one of my favourite actors. He is incredible in this film. He in general is a very good actor, and I just found this film so entertaining and thrilling. It's really fast paced. It kept me on the edge of my seat and I really had no idea how it was going to end. I just found it so entertaining. Another one I definitely recommend. At number 11, I have Oliver.
Mine's Jack Dawkins, better known among me more intimate friends as the Artful Dodger. Pleased to meet you, Mr. Dodger.
This has remained one of my favourite films since first seeing it as a young child, and I think my battery is going to die, so I'm going to have to quickly change it. This has remained one of my favourite films since first seeing it as a young child, and that is because I fell in love with the actor Jack Wild. He was my first celebrity crush and still remains my favourite. I have seen this film so many times. I love the songs, I can sing them all off by heart and can probably recite most of Jack Wild's lines. He stars as the Artful Dodger in this film. The film is about a young orphan called Oliver who falls in with a gang of pickpockets led by the criminal Fagin. I also really love the stage musical as well, and also the BBC series Dodger. At number 10, I have another cheat. I have The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit.
There's some good in this world, Mr. Frodo. And it's worth fighting for.
I love all of these films. I probably do prefer Lord of the Rings over The Hobbit, but my favourite Hobbit film is An Unexpected Journey, and my favourite Lord of the Rings film is The Return of the King. Although I do love all the films, I really like the characters. The films contain some of my favourite film characters, and I really enjoy all of the stories. At number 9, I have Laurel and Hardy.
To catch a Hardy, they've got to get up very early in the morning.
What time?
Oh, about 1:30. What time?
Now, I found them really hard to place in my order because they have so many films and so many shorts. Probably if I had to choose a favourite film, it would be Sons of the Desert, but I also really like Way Out West. Really, I like all of their work, especially their work in the 1930s. Maybe not so much their 1940s work when they left Hal Roach, but Laurel and Hardy are incredible. They really were ahead of their time. They were really good at what they did. They are a comedy duo. Oliver Hardy is the meaner one who bosses around Stan Laurel, who is the more stupid of the two, and they really are hilarious. No matter how many times I watch them, they never fail to make me laugh. At number 8, I have Back to the Future.
What did I tell you? 88 miles per hour!
And my favourite out of the trilogy is the first film. The film is set in 1985 and follows this boy called Marty who ends up travelling back in time to the year 1955 in a time-travelling DeLorean built by this mad scientist called Doc Emmett Brown. And Marty accidentally prevents his future parents from falling in love, then threatening his own existence, and so he is forced to get them to fall in love again and then get back to the future. I am also a fan of Michael J. Fox. You can see there's a bit of a theme to these favourite films of mine. They all seem to have one of my favourite actors in, and Michael J. Fox is another one of my favourite actors. I became a fan of him through this film, but I do remember attempting to see this film a number of times. I did think it would be a film I would enjoy, and so I really wanted to see the film, but for some reason I just couldn't sit through it. I ended up either losing focus or falling to sleep, which is not like me at all. I must have picked some bad times to try and watch the film, but when I finally managed to sit through it, I was hooked, and as I thought, I did become a big fan of the film. I also really like the other two films as well. And also the Back to the Future stage musical is one of my favourite musicals. At number 7, I've got Schindler's List, and it says here that it's the winner of 7 Academy Awards.
You've been working since, I think, what, about 6 this morning? Yet, such a small pile of hinges.
The film follows this German man called Oskar Schindler, who saved more than 1,000 mostly Polish Jews during the Holocaust by employing them in his factories during World War II. The film is so powerful and really emotional. Another one that just didn't leave my mind for days after watching it. It is a very long film. It's 3 hours and 10 minutes long, but I had no trouble sitting through this film. It just, again, really had an effect on me, especially as it is based on real events. It really is just a shocking but powerful film. At number 6, I have Wonka.
I will have you know that I am a perfectly respectable size for an Oompa Loompa.
Number what now?
This is a musical film about a young Willy Wonka who comes to Europe with the hopes of becoming a chocolatier. However, a corrupt cartel of rival businessmen stand in his way. The film stars Timothée Chalamet as Wonka, another one of my favourite actors. I became a fan of him after seeing this film. I just love this film. One of the reasons why I like it so much is I really enjoy all the songs. I found them immediately catchy. I ended up buying the Wonka soundtrack after seeing this film, and I listened to the songs on repeat. I also love the storyline. I find it really enjoyable and fun. I did originally think I was going to enjoy this film because one of the writers is Simon Farnaby, who is one of the Horrible History cast members, and I just love this cast. I've seen them in all the work they do together, including Ghosts and Yonderland. I always find everything this cast do so funny. They are brilliant actors and writers, and the film also stars another one of the cast members, Matthew Bainton. At number 5, I have A Hard Day's Night.
Do you think these haircuts have come to stay?
Well, this one has, you know, stuck on good and proper now.
It's frightfully nice.
What would you call that hairstyle you're wearing?
Arthur.
I am a big fan of the Beatles, and this is the Beatles' first feature film that was released in 1964. But it's not just because of the Beatles why I love this film. I find the storyline really enjoyable. I also find it very funny. I also love the characters. There's some really fun characters in the film, and of course it contains some great music as well. And I just love how it doesn't feel as if the Beatles are acting through this film. They just seem so relaxed and themselves. Really enjoy this one a lot. It's one of my most watched films. At number 4, I've got What We Do in the Shadows.
Deacon, you're a cool guy, but you're not pulling your weight in the flat.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that I'm cool.
No, that's not the point, though.
Yeah, no, I know. Not the...
This is about a group of vampires who are followed by a film crew as they discuss their lives and struggles as vampires. I just find this film so hilarious. It always makes me laugh. I also love the characters. My favourite vampire is Deacon, who is played by Johnny Bruff. I just love that character so much. One of the other main vampires is played by Taika Waititi, and I've seen a lot of his films that he's written and directed. This is another one of the films that he co-wrote and directed, and I have enjoyed all the films I've seen that he was part of. I just find him a very funny writer. This was easily in my top 5. At number 3, I have Django Unchained.
And where we find them, you point them out, and I kill them.
This has remained one of my favourite films ever since seeing it at the cinema. The film follows this slave who ends up teaming up with this German bounty hunter with the ultimate goal of reuniting with his wife. Now, I first decided to go and see this film at the cinema because it stars Leonardo DiCaprio, and I always watch all of his films. The film is very long. It's just over 2.5 hours, so I was quite reluctant to see it at the cinema because I just didn't think I was going to enjoy it that much. The film is directed and written by Quentin Tarantino, and I do like a lot of his films, but I just wasn't expecting to like this film as much as I did. I just enjoyed it so much. I think I went to go see it at the cinema at least 3 or 4 times. I remember there's one particular scene in this film I found so funny that I was actually crying with laughter at the cinema, and I'm not usually one of these people that laugh out loud even when I find things funny, but I just couldn't help it with this scene. I also really enjoyed the storyline and the characters. I ended up becoming a fan of Christoph Waltz, who stars in the film as the bounty hunter, because I really loved his character in the film, and ever since seeing it, it has remained one of my favourite films. At number 2, I have The Green Mile.
We all of us think he was doped. You didn't ask. Well, I guess that's not a mistake you'll be needing to make again anytime soon, is it?
Like with Django, whenever I was asked what's my favourite film, it was always either The Green Mile or Django. They've always remained my top 2, although there has been a film that has now overtaken them, which I'm going to mention, of course, in a minute. The film is set in a prison where the prisoners are facing death row, and one of the prison guards ends up meeting this convict who has a very special gift. This was another film I was not expecting to like as much as I did. The film is very long, it's 3 hours long, and I remember going to watch it one night before work thinking I'll just watch half of it because, as I said, it's a very long film, but I did not want to stop watching it. I was hooked. I just found the storyline so entertaining. I just really wanted to know what was going to happen at the end. The cast are amazing. There's some really great performances from some of the cast members, including Tom Hanks, who always acts well in any film he stars in. But I was also really impressed with the actor Doug Hutchinson, whose character is a really nasty guy, but I just thought his performance was amazing. Sam Rockwell and Michael Clarke Duncan also acted so well in the film. There are some great performances, really memorable characters, and a film I definitely recommend if you haven't seen it. And at number 1, my favourite film is Amadeus.
Here is our illustrious court composer, Maestro Salieri.
I know your work well, Signore. Do you know I actually composed some variations on a melody of yours?
Oh, really? Which one?
Mio caro Adonne.
Well, I'm flattered.
Funny little tune, but it yielded some good things.
And now he has returned the compliment.
This is another film that won a lot of awards. It won 8 Academy Awards, and I can understand why. I first watched this film because I am a fan of Mozart, and so I really wanted to see the film. It is about the Italian composer Antonio Salieri, who becomes obsessed and very jealous of Mozart and aims to ruin his career by any means possible. It's a very long film again, 3 hours long, but I never struggle to sit through it. I've rewatched this film a lot, and every single time I managed to sit through the whole film. I just find it so entertaining. I, of course, love the music, and the acting in it is incredible. I, again, became a fan of another actor through this film, Tom Hulce, who stars as Mozart. I ended up watching a lot more of his work, although he doesn't act in a lot of films, which is a shame because he is an incredible actor. He does such a good job as Mozart. And also the actor F. Murray Abraham, who stars as Salieri, he also does an incredible job in this film. I think he ended up winning an award actually for this film. Yes, he ended up winning Best Actor, which was very well deserved. I definitely recommend you watching this film if you haven't. I don't think you need to be a fan of Mozart to enjoy it. Thank you very much for watching this video. Please let me know what your favourite film is, and I will see you in my next video.